Me realizing my mother knew about my husband's affair. Before I ever suspected anything happening, I found the earrings while looking for cold medicine in my mother's bathroom cabinet, tiny gold hoops with green stones. They were mine originally, but I had not seen them in almost a year. I remember standing there in my socks on her cold tile floor at almost midnight, staring at them in the little glass dish beside her sink. My husband Jason had bought them for me during a weekend trip to Savannah for our anniversary. I lost one after a family barbecue last summer and cried harder about it than I should have. Jason spent an hour helping me search the backyard with his phone flashlight. My mother helped too. All three of us searched together while she kept insisting they would turn up eventually. But now the missing earring was sitting inside her bathroom cabinet like it had always belonged there. I wish I could say I immediately understood what it meant, but I didn't. I actually convinced myself there had to be some harmless explanation. My mother hugged me goodbye that night and packed leftovers into plastic containers while asking whether Jason was still working long hours at the insurance office. She sounded normal. Everything felt normal except for the sick feeling crawling slowly into my stomach during the drive home. Jason was asleep on the couch when I walked inside our apartment around 1 a.m. The television was still on mute. His work boots were beside the coffee table. I stood there staring at him while he slept and suddenly realized he smelled exactly like my mother's laundry detergent. Same lavender scent, same fabric softener she had used my entire childhood. I barely slept because every memory from the last year started rearranging itself differently in my head. The next morning, I called out sick from work and started checking old phone records from our shared account. I do not even know what pushed me to do it. Maybe instinct finally caught up with denial. My mother and Jason spoke constantly, not quick calls either. 30 minutes, 47 minutes, sometimes after midnight, sometimes while I was working double shifts at the pediatric clinic. I kept trying to explain it away because my mother had always depended on Jason for help with bills, groceries, fixing things around her house. But then I remembered how strange they acted together at Christmas, how quickly conversations stopped when I entered the room, how my mother suddenly started wearing makeup around the house again after years of barely caring. My chest physically hurt while I sat there scrolling through months of call logs. I think part of me already knew before I found proof. I confronted Jason first because I still believed he would deny it and somehow make everything feel less real. Instead, he just sat at our kitchen table rubbing his hands together while I cried so hard I could barely breathe correctly. He admitted it had been going on for almost 6 months. He said it started emotionally after my father died because my mother felt lonely and understood him better than I did lately. I remember actually laughing when he said that because it sounded so pathetic and selfish. Then my mother arrived at the apartment before I even finished packing a bag. Jason must have called her immediately after I confronted him. She walked inside crying already, begging me to listen, saying she never intended for things to become serious. That sentence broke something inside me permanently. Serious. As if betraying me slowly over months was somehow accidental until feelings complicated it further. I live alone now in a tiny rental duplex across town where the kitchen light flickers whenever the microwave runs. My mother still sends long messages every Sunday morning telling me she misses me. Jason moved out of our apartment 2 weeks after everything exploded. I heard through my cousin that they are not even together anymore because my mother became paranoid he would cheat on her too. Sometimes that almost feels funny until I remember none of this was supposed to happen to me. Last month, I accidentally saw my mother at the grocery store. She looked smaller somehow, older. We made eye contact near the frozen food aisle, and for a second I thought she might walk toward me. Instead, she turned her cart around and left without buying anything. I sat in my car afterward crying harder than I expected because despite everything, part of me still wanted her to stop, hug me, and tell me she chose me after all.